Time to have fun with another tier list. What's good? Welcome to the channel. Today we're kicking off a Surging Sparks Better Late Than Never tier list. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, what's good? How's it been? How's the format treating you? So the gist of today's video, we are going to take a look at some of the popular and established archetypes and give you an idea of where they fall going into the next format. Some will fall, some will rise. There's going to be a few that stand above the rest, and then there's a few that are on this list just for me to dog. Some of them are that bad, and they're my favorite punching bag. So if you enjoyed today's video, or you feel like I've been a little too harsh on your deck list, let me know in the comments below. What can I do better? What would you like to see on the channel next? I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, and all suggestions are welcomed. With that said, let's not waste too much more of your time and get into our tier list rankings. S tier, best deck in the format, clear cut above the rest. Maximum 3 decks would ever sit in an S tier. So if you see someone put 5 and 6, too many. Tier 1, that's the remainder of your top 10. These kind of fill out that meta share graphic you see on the regional and the international championship events. Tier 1.5, these are meta dependent. If they're seeing the matchups they want to see, or the meta has shifted a particular way, they're going to eat well. If not, oh, they're going to starve. They're going to get feasted upon. They're going to look so bad. They're going to feel like a middle of the pack deck that are being carried by the strength of their pilot. Tier 2, what can I say? This might be your favorite pet deck. This might be something stuck in the middle due to damage or consistency, or maybe things have just moved past it. Looking at you, Giratina, my beloved. It's not the worst. It is better than most of your binder drop and bad decks that we're going to put out here, but it's not much better than that, and you really have to carry based on the skill and the familiarity. And of course, the bad tier. Why did I put this one here? Why am I going to slander your favorite deck without even trying? Well, the bad tier, you kind of got to know what's good, what's bad, what you should be staying away from when you're trying to actually win games. For example, Iron Thorns, trying to win games without cheesing people or just trying to win games. Stay away from this deck. Might have won world championships, but people are more prepared for it. Prove me wrong. New Azumarill. Yes, it attacks for 1 psychic. If you have a Terra Pokemon in play, yes, it's a 1 prizer, but you're putting 2 prizers on the board to trigger that ability. Your opponent's going to find ways around that. They are going to quickly trade. The format's too fast. You're in for a bad time. Keep this one to the pet decks or watch one of my coming videos. Regigigas. Its moment in the sun has come and passed. Again, it gets all the Terra Pokemon, all the support, but Reggie's still a brick. Noivern, Counterbox. I wouldn't really trust this one. There's other ways you can take elements of the Noivern, but it's a known commodity. Unfortunately, brand new Skeledirge. Love me some Precious Trolley. Love those bench filling attacks. Again, game's just too fast. It's a 1 prizer. It requires a lot of resource investment. It is getting knocked out pretty much every turn. I don't think we're ready for it when the rotation comes and the card pool shrinks a little bit and F-Block finally gets its ugly head out of here. Skeledirge is going to be first on my list to try, but right now it is bad. Palisand, I am 100% a hater here. 3 different types of energy to bring your opponent's hit points to 100. Keep in mind that all of the Pokemon that you're going to be facing up against have the Terra trait that block benched damage. How are you putting 100 damage counters onto those Pokemon after bringing them down to 100? Answer me that question with a really good means and let me know. How do you plan on getting 6 prizes in 1 turn? Another one in the bad tier. Oh, that's probably the end of the bad tier if I had to say. So now we're going to show you what our S tier looks like so you have an idea. So there are 3 top dogs this format. We have Raging Bolt, we have Charizard, and we have Regidrago. So let's assume you've been living under a rock or you're new to the game. Maybe you've migrated over from Pocket. Oh, you poor souls. Raging Bolt. It is a big basic deck that accelerates a lot of energy. It swings for big damage. It can take advantage of Noctowl. It can take advantage of Briar to take extra prizes. It could even use Dusknoir. I've seen a few decks playing that. It is just a very swing fast, keep going until you're out of prizes kind of deck. Didn't lose anything. Regidrago has finally picked up all the tools in its kit it needed to really fix a lot of its ugly starts. The Latios fixes any ugly retreats, so you don't have to lose energy retreating. So that's always nice. Scramble Switch is another tool in the kit that you can try. You need to hit for middling damage. You have your Rolling Irons. You have your Giratinas for 280. You have Raging Bolt if you feel like that's the option to go back to. Because again, with Scramble Switch, it's not hard to put energy back on the board if you choose to use it. And of course, Charizard, one of those decks that everybody loves to hate, but you love to play because when it's doing its thing, It's 330 hit points, so it's a hard out. Quick search, so you're grabbing that exact one card you need. And maybe you're popping skulls, maybe you're, running the Briar. Whatever it is, you're one of those great comeback decks if you lose the coin flip and have to go second. As long as they don't delete your entire board, Charizard has a way to claw its way into almost any deck, pretty much. So those are your top three. The metagame is going to circle around those three. And if I had to put one of those ugly four that are not quite there but are pretty freaking good, I'd have to put this coin flip monstrosity. So Lugia, yes, it is powerful. Yes, it has, legacy energy and all these other things. But 50% of the time, you're capturing Aroma, flips the wrong way, and you don't get to play. Or you're staring at about 4 or 5 energy cards, no Lugias, and no ways to get Lugia. And then all of a sudden, your opponent has created such a gap in the prizes that you're going, I didn't get to play this deck. Why did I play this brick? This is horrible. I'm going to go find another game or go touch some grass. So Lugia, when it pops off though, it looks like the best deck in the room, and people would definitely die on that hill saying it is the best deck in the room. But I'm telling you, that 50-50 not getting to play thing because of a coin flip, no, tier 1, best I can do. All right, who do we got next? So now we're going to go Control. Control picked up more tools in the kit. We are going to say that because the format is getting faster, deck building is getting significantly greedier, Control might be in one of its best positions of the year. Control, if you know what you're doing, you're familiar with your reps, you understand your opponent's win conditions, you can then deny them from the jump. You have 6 prizes to play with. There are a few ugly decks for you, I'm certain, but again, if you expect to see more of a certain deck, the great thing with Control is you can pull back on the pieces that are for a certain matchup and then double down on the ones you expect to see. So this one is very read and react to the room. I believe the Tournament of Doom had a couple Pidgeot controls doing very, very well. Does not surprise me whatsoever. Cornerstone is just kind of one of those throw-in control cards I put as a placeholder. Pidgeot control with a good pilot. Oh my god, Chef's Kiss. Great deck. Ignore the second copy of it we have here. Another top 10 deck I have. I guess I'm going to go with Gardevoir. This would be Turbo, Slow, take your pick. I feel like Turbo is going to be the one that catches on because it'll do well over the weekend coming. Basically, it's got the Turbo Box, Secret Box. And so it's got its rare candies, it's got its multiple charms. It's just really looking to put some pressure on that Gardevoir usually doesn't have. I think it's okay into Lugia. I think it'd be okay into Raging Bolt. Control, again, if you get positioned well enough, you can also take advantage of that because they can't discard your Turos. And Charizard is, if they're playing Dusknoir, then maybe the matchup is theirs. If they're not playing Dusknoir because they're trying to shore up consistency for other matchups, then yeah, you're going to run through them. Gardevoir is in that really good spot that diehard fans are going to be eating well. Which then brings me to the Gardevoir Bayonet. This is the item lock one. Kind of, I can't say I have enough reps with it, but I do see it performing very well. 1.5. No, we'll switch those. Yeah. Gardevoir is more meta. Bayonet, it's just item lock. It's all of the things I just described in Gardevoir. And then you throw in a sliver of item lock and you say, can you dig out of this? Oh, no, you can't? Well, that's a shame. I'm going to win now. So Gardevoir Bayonet doesn't really lose anything. If you don't get into your rare candies, you might not get into the game. So that's Gardevoir in a nutshell. I can't believe there's 2 variants of Gardevoir on this list. Let's see, who do we got? Rhydon. Rhydon picked up the Latias. It picked up the new Magneton. So Latias gives all of your big basics, the whole deck, free retreat. And Magneton lets you accelerate 3 energy from the discard pile, knock itself out and give up a prize. So this gives you the option to put Raichu V back into the deck or charge up an Iron Hands out of nowhere. So you're burning through your deck. You can also put Magneton down as a 1 prize sacrifice if you have to. Rhydon feels like a deck that is going to stay very low to the ground And while it can't necessarily always swing over the big hit point Pokemon, it definitely can take care of everything in mid tiers and like lower hit points. So if you're 280 and below, I think it's going to say, okay, let's go. We're going to eat well. And Rhydon's just going to try to race you. It's one of those decks that's proven, it's established, it is definitely going to race you. Dragapult, Pidgeot. So it is not quite the S tier monster that I'd expect it to be, but it's got Dusknoir, it's got, you know, your Crystal, Briar. It didn't really pick anything up this set that jumps out to me. Maybe a one copy of the Terra Orb if you want. I think there's an Azelf that you might be able to take advantage of. You know, you spread a bunch of damage around your board with Dragapult, and then Azelf does 10 damage for each damage counter on your opponent's Pokemon. So maybe you two-hit something else, bring in the Azelf, counter gain, counter catcher, you know, knock out something else because there's 200 damage sitting on the board. We can sit here and play hypotheticals all we want, but I think Dragapult is a solid top 10 deck that you will see in and out of the meta all format long. Okay, who else do we have here? I'm gonna say this is Lost Box containing Pikachu. So I think Pikachu is what puts Lost Box back on the map. You have your Greninjas, you have your Pikachu hitting for 300, you have your Sableye dealing with those small evolving Pokemon. So now you have a built-in protection, knocking out V-Stars, knocking out EXs, in the Pikachu, and it is not hard to attach Mirage Gate again to maybe get 2 of the 300 damage attacks. So I think Lost Box with the speed, with the consistency, with, you know, all the greedy tools in the bag, I think it's going to be one of those decks you should keep an eye on, because you can play the Miraidon, the Pikachu, the Iron Thorns, which I don't think should be its own deck, but can be in this deck. And you can shut them off, you can set up, you can really build out your Lost Zone count and then pick apart their board as needed. That's another one. I'm definitely thinking highly of Lost Box's format. Brings me to Lost Box in general. So 1.5, I do think that it'll eat well as long as it's not running into, you know, V-Star Palooza, because Blood Moon is 240, it's not 280. So Lugia is because you do play Iron Hands, and there's plenty for you to really pick on. But then if they start hard countering you, Kyurem in the Regidrago is a bit problematic because many decks are foregoing their mana fees. I'm sure somebody is going to put Radiant Charizard Lost Zone on the map, probably a build I'm not even thinking of, and they're going to find a way to make it work, and it's going to see 1 or 2 early placings, and you're going, oh my god, that's really good. Everybody's going to flock to it, and then all of a sudden they have to put it down. It was good, it's not great. That's enough of my tangent there. Rounding out my top 10 would have to be definitely not Snorlax. I think I'm gonna just play it safe and put Terrapagos down. So it's like a 4 or 5, 6% deck in Japan right now, and I can see why. You really have to watch your math, but the metagame is getting a little more hostile for it. Maybe good players might pull back on it because Regidrago's looking very good. Maybe we'll bump it right there behind Lugia. So if I had to order these within the tier, Terrapagos, it didn't lose enough for you to go, oh my god, that's a bad deck. But it definitely is not sitting above the rest. It is fighting it out in that just below the S tier. So Lugia, Terrapagos, Miraidon, Pidgeot, Gardevoir, Dragapult, Pikachu, in that order. I think that's how I would rank my top tier if you're looking for decks to play. And then you look at their matchup spreads accordingly. Like, what do you expect to see most of? Maybe on a local level, maybe on an online level, maybe on a ladder level. Who knows? A couple decks that I would probably put in tier 2 because they are extremely flawed right off the bat is Pikachu Blissey. This one it has way too many flaws, way too many issues. Raging Bolt likes to eat it. Terrapagos will destroy it. Gardevoir will pick it apart. Lugia can pick apart the bench. Lost Box definitely can work through it. Dragapult is probably one of your good ones, but not by much. Who else do we have here? We have another one in the tier 2. We are going to put the new Hydreigon Pidgeot, or Hydreigon plus something else. 200 for 2, as Dragapult is approved, is very, very good. You can still get away with it, so long as you have a solid follow-up, or you're working to something else. Whether it's a different draw engine, whether it's with the Spooky Boys, or whatever, I think it's in here, but I would be keeping an eye out for cards coming for the EV set in January to see if they make this deck better. Neo is the better ace spec, not the Crystal. Just putting that one out there. Another tier 2, very clearly, is Pikachu by itself. So if you're running Pikachu as the focal point of the deck, you are giving up a prize with Magneton, so you're kind of negating your Pikachu, and people are playing the Skulls or Kazams, or they can bump that. They don't mind hitting into you, so how are you going to offset the eventual 3 prize turn they get from you? Fun. It definitely fun to go boom every turn, but I don't know if I like this one as is. Maybe the evolutions coming in January will help this, or maybe there's a partner I'm missing. But right now, Pikachu is better as a include in the Lost Box and include in the Miraidon. Off in Tier 2, though, the Latios EX does smooth things over because it allows you to use Rangaroo V, which allows you to grab more combo pieces, which allows you to do things. Technically a one prize deck, but it uses so many 2 prize support Pokemon, so I can't really put it in there when I can pick off your Fezzes, I can pick off your Squawks, I can pick off your Latioses, I can pick off your Luminions, I can pick off your Rangaroos. Like, unless you can make all of those bench sitters 1 prize Pokemon, which you can only do once with Legacy if you're using it, but please don't do that. Cloth has too many issues. It just has too many liabilities sitting on its bench for me to really go, oh my god, I lost Cloth, like serious meta deck. If you're looking for a good 1 prize exclusively deck, I would put Ancient Box deck. So there's a new Koraidon that does, what, 180 for 2 if you used a Ancient Box Pokemon to attack last turn. The new Brilliant Compressor or whatever, discard 5 cards out of the deck. That's a quick 50 buff. That's also a thinning card. I mean, you can grab your key attacker with a Night Stretcher. Maybe you put energy in the discard pile for your Sadas. That's a very good card. It also has Secret Box. There's a couple ways to play this, but I do think Roaring Moon, Ancient Box is still very, very good. You might put 1 copy of Roaring Moon EX in there just to swing over stuff that's giving you fits. Hard to say, but I feel like that might be your best 1 prize exclusive deck in the format, so I'm not going to write that one off entirely. Snorlax, good players, know what they're doing. They'll look for the outs. They'll punish the very greedy lists and squeeze. You have to have patience. I don't think the meta's ever going to be perfect for it. I think it'll have instances where you see, okay, I got to capitalize. This is my chance to win. This is my chance to strike. But a very passive deck in a very large, aggressive card pool, you're few and far between. I don't think we'll see enough representation for you to go, okay, yeah, this is one of the 10 best decks in the format. It's definitely a good pick into a lot of the top 10, but it is not one of the best 10. Palkia Dusknoir, I'm going to put you top of 1.5. Again, it's very combo, very all-in. So you've got your Greninja, you've got your Dusknoir, but with the Gardevoir, Banette being so popular, and a few other decks like the Red Drago and the Raging Bolt, they can really pick apart your frail combo pieces early enough, and you're just sitting on your hands. Again, Miraidon seeing a lot more play means your Palkias are not as safe. Yes, you get your Greninja, but what if they choose to hunt your little frogs and then save your Palkia for later to eat, right? Again, Palkia was good, but with Miraidon seeing an uptick, I definitely think it's fallen backwards a little bit. Arcaludon? I want to call it Arcturaludon, but that's just me. That's an old deck. This is perhaps my most excited card of the set of the year. It is one of my favorite Pokemon and their new evolution, and it has so much to like. It's self-accelerant. There is a good underneath Pokemon basic that you can copy with Relicanth. So now Relicanth finally has a good partner. There is a 1 prize option that you can also charge up to and swing and possibly skew the prize trade. It also allows you to have free retreat without it being on a 2 prize liability. There's so much to like, whether you're playing it with Babero, whether you're playing Reverum, whether you're playing it with something else. I've thought of a few builds that I want to experiment with. I'm not going to tip my hand quite yet, but I do think this is one of those decks that we'll see partially hype, partially power, and you'll go, okay, yeah, maybe I was sleeping on this card. It might be one of those, I'm going to buy it while it's still on the low and just go, okay, here we go. Like, we don't know what's coming, and I do feel like this is a well-positioned card. It's well-designed too, right? Takes away its own weakness with an attack. It's not quite Skyscraper, but we'll take what we can get. We'll take the concessions where they come. Another 1.5, which has really surprised me. This is kind of one of those picks that I picked it up jokingly, and then it started winning and going, okay, this is actually pretty damn good. Goldingo, the new Energy Search Pro, lets you grab 1 of every energy type. There's 8 energy types in the standard format, so grabbing a potential 400 damage swing turn, that's more powerful than a Prime Catcher for this deck. And I think when you're finally competing with the power of Prime Catcher for deck-specific A-Spec, Goldingo is in a good place. Rainbow Dango is going to be fun. It is going to be the next video I cover on the channel. I've already got it recorded. I'm really looking forward to it. But Goldingo is doing a lot better. There's a lot of diehards still working, refining. They're trying to make Dango a thing. Last but not least, where do I put the most hyped card? Well, we'll be generous. We'll be generous. We'll be an optimist. So Ceruledge, it's dump and swing. It puts all the energy in the discard pile, and then you try to hit for big damage. It starts as a 1 prize Charcadet. Where I'm coming into issues with it and why I'm going back to the drawing board rather than sharing the first few lists I've been working on is if they gather a prize lead or if they force you off the 2-2-2, it's very difficult to get back on that and really make up the ground. Yes, it hits hard. Yes, it has tempo. Yes, you're doing great if you go first, but if you go second, you're dead duck. You might as well concede and try to jump to game 2. I'm really hoping that people start innovating and putting more out there, but from what I'm seeing in Japan and what I'm seeing so far, I think we're still another piece or two away for this, at least. Unless we can find an easier way to make the, oh my god, what is his name? Salvatore combos a thing. So that's enough of this old man's rambling. If you like the tier list, what did you agree with most? If you did not like the tier list, what did I get absolutely wrong in every possible way? Because I apparently don't know what I'm talking about. I'm listening, I'm reading the comments. It's great to be back. Hope you're having fun playing Pokemon, guys. And until next time, cheers. We'll see you in another video.